Baby, 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 got your license to drive. Got your license to drive me.
So, a brand new season of The Boys is in our history books, and it was still the best thing ever. This show is currently 3 for 3 as far as its seasons. Every single season is an absolute banger, and probably the best form of superhero media we've gotten in a long time. As far as originals go, there's definitely nothing out there that's on the same level as The Boys, and I don't imagine a show or movie getting to this quality in probably a long time. As I've said in previous videos, Amazon Prime knows what the fuck they're doing as far as making good-ass content for everyone to enjoy. I think that I just personally like this streaming service a lot compared to others. Just with Amazon Prime alone, they've caught me with The Boys, Invincible, Wayne, The Boys Presents Diabolical, and hell, even in my downtime I'm watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I'm really enjoying it. And a lot of people are saying that this latest season is the weaker out of the bunch, but I completely disagree with that. I do think that the show tends to create different opinions on each season because each season is unique from the previous one and they're all very different in presentation. They keep changing the narrative while keeping the theme of the show, and that kind of keeps the show fresh and on its feet at all times. In Season 1, our main group was working outside the law to get shit done. In Season 2, they are running from the law while exposing superhero secrets. And in Season 3, some of them are sort of working on the side of justice and the law, while the other is continuing to go back to the same ways of working outside the law, and it kind of shows who's making more progress than who, and it's really interesting to sort of see that sort of rivalry begin to broil up. Personally, I think that every single subplot that this show has introduced from Season 1 to now has been great. Not a single story drags out for too long, and the payoff is usually satisfying and significant to the overall story being told. I would also say that the characters are definitely the driving force for this show and definitely the top force pushing the story forward. This show has always been a social commentary on superheroes and society, and it's unpredictable what is going to follow up from scene to scene. I don't think that I really need to talk about Season 1 and 2 that much because everything that's good about the show is also present in Season 3. So when I talk about everything good in this season, I'm also talking about the previous season. But if you haven't watched any of the show yet, I think that you're in for quite a ride and you should go ahead and start on Season 1. It's an absolute banger, and then another banger, and then another banger after that. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the latest season, and I'll try not to spoil too much about it. I really will try this time. In Season 3 of The Boys, they have a bit to establish from the last season because it kind of ended conclusively. The major pull-in for this season is that the boys have access to temporary superpowers, but when they use them, it amplifies all of their worst traits. I thought that this plot device would only serve to give cool fight scenes, but it's pretty fucking important as far as the overall story goes, and it sets motion to a good portion of the subplots in this season, and some of the most compelling character development that we've had yet. The whole point of what they're supposed to be doing is to stop superheroes because no one should have that kind of power. The fact that they have access to these powers in the first place tests every single boundary and affects the boys and the Seven and all the relationships tied in between. The godlike power that the group now possesses has Homelander actually afraid of something, and it gives the best character work for Homelander that we've gotten in the series ever. This new season also served a pretty good purpose of giving us really intriguing character growth for pretty much everyone in the cast. This season is definitely less about the action and politics and more about the characters growing in very believable ways. Every single person in the show has shit to do this season, even the characters that we don't care about at all. I really liked what they did with A-Train this season. He didn't need to be directly involved with the main plot, but he's definitely going through some shit that's really interesting to watch, and it's very much a downward spiral arc that I'm very interested to see how it proceeds in the next season. And Kimiko is still my favorite character in the entire show, and she finally got a second to figure out her own identity and figure out what she actually wants with her future and her powers. I just really enjoy watching these two, and I love everything about Frenchie and Kimiko being in any scene. MM also had one of the best character arcs this season. He is forced to confront stuff that's been haunting him since his own childhood, and he realizes that his decisions that he makes have very serious consequences as far as his family life and his own personal relationships outside of that. This season was really a true testament of his own character, and I was on board for the whole ride. I very much would like to see storytelling like that present in future seasons. Hell, even Ashley had a compelling character arc, and she felt like a real person this season, which hasn't been present in previous seasons, and it just showed me how much the show is starting to care and put into itself. And this one's kind of a no-brainer, but the main appeal of the show is still Anthony Starr as Homelander. A lot of people genuinely do believe that he is the best character when watching this show. We have been watching him lose his fucking mind until he finally snaps. And he doesn't snap in a way we all expect him to. He doesn't murder a dozen people. It's more subtle and realistic, which makes it even more scary to me. The final scene in this season is definitely scarier than if Homelander had flew into the White House and killed the president or something like that. It's scary because what happens is so real, and we've seen the danger of this in our own world. It's more impactful this way, and I love this sort of storytelling. And some people will say that the ending of this season was anticlimactic, but I definitely don't think that this was the case. This season just spent a lot of fucking time on developing these characters, and I just have to take a second to appreciate that. But for the most part, it spent most of its time setting up shit for the next season. It just strategically set up all these major plot points for the next season, and personally, I can't wait to see what comes up after this, and I know a lot of people are just as anxious as me. Because right now, it definitely feels like everything's ramping up for the 4th season being the best season so far. The show has nailed every single aspect that it's introduced so far, and I think that it would take a very talented fuck up and everything going so far down south to just ruin the next season. So with all that being said, I think that if you haven't, you should go back and watch all 3 seasons of The Boys while we're waiting for the next season, and this season 3 of The Boys is gonna get a not so surprising 9 out of 10 from me.
Very special guest, Soldier Boy.
Fab Five Freddy told me everybody's fly. DJ's spinning, I said my. Flash is fast, Flash is cool. Francois Sabah, Flash ain't no dude, and you don't stop. Sure shot, go out to the parking lot.